Hey guys, it's Jen. So I was on my local news site, and it was the day before November 21st, 1963. So the day before JFK was assassinated. And they provided some of the headlines for the local papers in Texas and around the nation, what the big deal was the day before. Now, a lot of this stuff you guys may already know, um, but I'm still going to share it with you. Just some interesting little tidbits that, like I said, I discovered. I just thought I would share. So the day before Kennedy arrives, this was the front page of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and of course I will provide links below. One thing that caught my eye, actually two things on this particular page. The first one is right here where it says Precision Pyramid. The Great Walladins, please forgive me, I'm having a hard time reading this. If it looks small on your screen, it's small on mine. Entertained Shrine Circus First Nighters Wednesday with the first human pyramid they've done in public since the tragic 1962 fall that killed two of their troop and crippled one. So they made a huge, giant pyramid. Remember, everything is done for a reason. So the day before they arrive, they do this thing, a human pyramid. Another thing that caught my eye was this article right here. It says JFK due at Carswell tonight. Now this is where I find it very interesting. So it says President Kennedy and the First Lady are scheduled to land at Carswell Air Force Base at 10:45 p.m. Thursday. In the third stop of a two-day Texas tour billed as a nonpartisan but which has heavy 1964 political overtones. Vice President Lyndon Johnson and Mrs. Johnson will arrive in plane number 2. The nation's two top official holders never travel in the same place. So, of course, you never have, it was uncommon, and it's even, unless it's like an inauguration or something, you never see the president and the vice president at the same place at the same time. Yet, both Johnson and JFK came in together and were doing the parade in Dallas, for the very next day, and they were going to be together. So that was one thing. The next thing, they cover a time of anxiety, having to do with the Cold War and Cuba and Russia and, propaganda. They provided a propaganda poster from the Soviet Union for communism showing a ballistic missile in Red Square in Moscow, as well as a Lockheed U-2 aircraft returning from a spying mission over Cuba crashed near Key West, Florida, killing its pilots. So all of this is in the papers and in the news the day before his assassination. Now let's continue. They introduced the zip code the day before, which, that's just an interesting fact. I didn't know that, so I learned something new. Then, it goes on about, facts about, what things cost. Like, for instance, the United States had about 189 million people in 63. Unemployment was at 5.5. Inflation was at 1.24%. The median income was $6,200. Gas averaged 29 cents. New car averaged 3,200. Blah, 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 blah. A loaf of bread cost 22 cents. That was it. Can you imagine that? I just paid over $3 for a loaf of bread, and it wasn't fancy bread either. And so, sorry, I got a little distracted there. Oh, hold on, I forgot this is a window inside of a window here, so let me scroll down here. There was one more interesting, actually a couple more interesting things I wanted to point out here. A lot of the headlines were covering what was going on in Vietnam. So there's headlines on this. And then, the rotary phone was introduced, or the touchtone phone, I'm sorry, to replace the rotary. But this is where it gets interesting. The Dallas Times Herald. So, it's talking about how JFK was, part of his being in Texas had to do with the space program. But right here it says Nixon today, JFK tomorrow. Coincidentally, former Vice President Richard Nixon found himself in Dallas on a quick business trip Thursday on the eve of President Kennedy's visit to the city. So, and it states that he was going there to meet with the president of Pepsi Cola bottling. But isn't it funny? Nixon just happened to show up really the day before, and both JFK and Johnson are together at the same place at the same time when that never happens. So, anyhow, I just thought that was funny. Well, not funny, haha, but ironic. And, it goes on to say Texans prepare for the presidential visit. Oh, sorry, this page keeps refreshing. It's the website. It always does that. Please forgive me. Let me go back down here now. And I'm sorry if you hear the birds chirping in the background. I'm on the back patio. All right, we already covered all this. All right, so this had to do with, the IBM computer being released as well. Then there was a march for civil rights over in Birmingham in Alabama because 4 young African American girls were killed in a bombing of a church. So there was a civil rights march, and that was another thing that JFK was, trying to get bipartisan support and trying to unite everybody because there was such an uproar between races because of this. Again, another way that they wanted to divide us any way, any means possible. And then, Cleopatra, big debut, 44 million. I'm sorry, of course now a fire truck goes by and I'm out on the patio. I apologize. It's always quiet back here, and now all of a sudden there's a noise. So anyhow, this is just, nonsense, sports and Hollywood and things like that. But the main thing that I found interesting had to do with the two of them being together. Oh, this is another little tidbit. This has to do with the polio vaccine, and this is the ad that was running in papers and in magazines during this time, and it says, "Well, B says," of course, you have the little bumblebee, mascot. "Be well, take oral polio vaccine. Tastes good, works fast, prevents polio." So the CDC had rolled that out. And we all know how they are with our vaccines and trying to pump us full of this stuff. So that was just another little tidbit. This really had nothing to do with the JFK thing, but I just, goes back that they've been doing this stuff for a long time. Like the old saying goes, there's nothing new under the sun. So thought, you get it. Then the Instacamera had come out. Oscar Mayer, which again, I'll leave links below so you can look at this stuff. I'm not going to get a copyright strike playing an Oscar Mayer wiener ad, but there's some good symbolism in there. You guys will definitely want to check that out. Goes back to, all the subliminal messages. And then there's the Beatles. I guess they were supposed to perform and be on TV, but the assassination happened, so they weren't. But I just thought I'd share those little tidbit facts about how everybody just miraculously ended up in town at the same place at the same time, and then he gets assassinated the very next day. Not to mention, we only have a few years to go now until they release those records, 2017, all the government documents concerning this. If you guys don't remember, which I'm sure most of you do, you guys are all intelligent and smart. They had sealed those records, and they purposely were waiting in a sufficient amount of time to release the government docs and investigations surrounding JFK until anybody who could have been implicated in the assassination had been deceased. So we have 2017 rolling up. Just gotta, oops, that was my cell phone, sorry. Just a few more days to go, or not a few more days, a few more years to go. But the question is, will we actually receive the real truth? We all know that probably isn't the case. But I just thought I'd share that information with you guys. I hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.